Hello there. Welcome back to Star Wars in the Galaxy, watching all the Star Wars we can get our hands on. I'm Eli. Jacob cannot be with us this week, but I do have a great guest on with me. I have Pris here. Pris has been on our show once before for the bracket stream of the Clone Wars and Rebels. Boy, were those chaotic times.
Madness.
Madness. Absolute madness. And yeah, I've been wanting to get her back on for a while, but yeah, so welcome back on the show. First official time on the actual In a Galaxy show. So welcome back.
Howdy, howdy.
Before we get into the main part of our episode, I do want to ask, it's been a tradition to ask how our guests got into Star Wars. So how do you get into Star Wars, and how did you get into, tweeting like you do about it and all the stuff that you do around Star Wars right now?
So like most people, I heard about Star Wars like at a very young age, but I really didn't get like super into it until I was probably like 6, 7, kind of 8 years old. Truth be told, a member of my family was watching me and they were hanging out with some friends, and I was just hanging out by myself as a kid in a room full of VHSs. And some of those VHSs had constellations and pretty pictures on them that said Star Wars, and I thought, I guess I'll watch all of those right now. So I watched, I guess all 6 at the time, and I kind of just became obsessed from there, but specifically with Princess Leia. I was pretty obsessed with Princess Leia, like growing up. I mean, I love all the characters and movies and stuff, and like the original trilogy will always like be my favorite. But yeah, I was a big Leia nerd. I don't know if anyone can see, but behind me I have a wall of books and a lot of those are Star Wars books. A lot of Princess Leia books too. So that's really how I got into it. But with the whole like tweeting about it, and I tweet about it less than I used to. But during the pandemic, I just really wanted, I guess, like social interaction with people, and the Facebook doesn't like the sequels, so I ended up on Twitter. I have a Kylo
Yeah.
Ren saber tattoo, so it's clear I'm a big fan of pretty much everything Star Wars. But yeah, Facebook does not like the sequels as much as Twitter does, so I ended up on Twitter making a bunch of friends with a bunch of you nerds, and ever since then I write books and stuff, but I write nerdy Star Wars articles on Bo-Katan's armor and all kinds of fun stuff. So yeah, it's pretty much how it
Good
happened.
stuff. That's great. So pivoting a little bit to the main topic of our episode, Pris pitched me this idea and I loved it. So at Star Wars Celebration, we got a lot of announcements on what's coming in the back half of this year. We just came off of the back of Kenobi. We have 3 Star Wars television projects until the end of this year, which is crazy. I can't imagine myself saying that in any other year other than this one, but it's going to be like, it feels like it's going to be the new norm from here on out, which is
Marvel's
crazy
the same
to
way.
say.
Yeah.
But so we have both prepared our top 3 like predictions / what we want to see in Andor, in Bad Batch season 2, and in Tales of the Jedi. How do you want to do this? Do you want to? I thought we would probably go Andor first because it's out first. Do you want to do one and then I'll do one, or do you want to do all 3, or what do you want to do?
Yeah, we can start with Andor.
Okay. You want to go first? Maybe do your first one. What do you want to see in Andor?
I actually want to see less cameos. I want to see I want it to be its own thing outside of like, because Mando and Boba Fett and Kenobi, like it all had so many characters we know and love. I kind of just want it to be like its own, if that makes any sense. That's really my main thing with Andor.
Yeah, I like that point, and this is interesting because I have talked about some characters that I'd like to see in some other of these properties, but I didn't in any of my, like, none of my Andor wants are character wise. They really aren't. And I think that is a very good point you pose, that like yes, like the connected universe is really great, and when we get it, it really expands the universe in a great way. But I'm not sure we need that as much for this show.
I agree. Yeah, completely.
Yeah, it doesn't help that I'm less invested in Andor than I think the other two, just because I'm not as big of a fan of Rogue One as some people are.
Oh, I
Um,
loved Rogue One. That being said, I'm a little sad about this show just because, like, it doesn't have them, you know? It's just
yeah,
him.
it's
That
just
makes me
him,
really sad inside.
and and we might not see like K2SO won't be in season 1 either.
Oh, I didn't
And
even think about that. That
yeah,
was my other thing. My other prediction
yes,
is like I want lots of K2. So.
yeah, no, K2. They said K2 is gonna be not gonna be in season 1. I think maybe in season 2, possibly, but they haven't
Don't
said
break
anything
my
about
heart.
that. Yeah, it's really sad, but I'm interested to see all of these new characters, especially like Luthen Rail is that guy from the trailer, the Stellan Skarsgård
Yeah.
character. Um,
I think it'll be funny.
Interesting. I was very much thinking it'll be very dark. I'm expecting a very much a gritty tone to it, which
I
is actually
wouldn't be
fascinating.
surprised if it was gritty, but I feel like Rogue One is so gritty that they might lean a little into less gritty just because like they went so hard with Rogue One.
Yeah, I hope so. I really I feel like of all of these three, we're really flying the most blind into Andor.
Yeah, no, I agree.
We've got the one trailer and that's it.
Yep.
Yeah, mine. But good point about the cameos. My first one would be I said the nitty gritty of the early rebellion. We're gonna see a lot of Mon Mothma in the show. I want to see who she goes to start the rebellion, not just like for soldiers and stuff, but like who does she go for funding? Like, yeah, Bale has a lot of money on Alderaan, I'm sure, but he can't be the only donor.
Yeah.
She has to gain support not just militarily and through war and stuff, but like politically and financially. And I'm hoping we'll
Yeah.
see a little bit of those building blocks of the rebellion.
Another one of my Andor predictions. Logically, we're gonna get like this tragic parent backstory per the usual, like the
Oh
Star
yeah,
Wars formula, right? The fantasy
yeah,
formula, honestly. I kind of think his parents are gonna be like different kinds of rebels. That's my theory. Like I think we're going to deviate from like the standard rebel story and maybe have some kind of like different element to it. That's like I don't know like I don't know the vibe I'm getting is like I feel like they're going to do something a little different somehow.
yeah. I actually do get that vibe a lot as well. There's well, first of all, there have been rumors out there, and again, I don't take rumors as 100% serious,
Yeah.
but sometimes they happen, sometimes they don't. But there have been rumors of Saw in there. There's
Hmm.
been rumors of Saw on the show, and I think there's that line about that Cassian says about doing terrible things for the rebellion in Rogue One,
Yeah,
and
that's what I was referencing, yeah.
yeah, and I think we're going to see. I think it's a safe bet to see we're going to see some not so great sides of rebel movements in the
Yeah,
galaxy.
because we're so used to like Leia and like all of these like really pure versions of like rebels, you know what I mean? But like we need to
Yeah,
see like we need to see. I feel like we're gonna see more of like when it comes to like rebellions, like both in real life and in fiction, like there's a really dark actuality to it other than just like fighting the established like
yeah.
reigning dictatorship. You know what I mean? So yeah,
Absolutely. There's very much like I feel like in the rebel stories we've gotten, there's very much been a the rebels often have to make a choice, and there's a right choice and a wrong choice, and they
yeah.
almost always make the right choice. And I feel like
I think
Andor
they
is
might
going
make the
to
wrong choice. Yeah.
yeah, I think Andor is going to delve into the consequences of what happens when they make the wrong choice.
I think if all of these predictions are right, then it will be grittier. I think it might start grittier and over time become kind of more like have like K2 on and like kind of get into a more like kind of less dark and then it obviously gets into Rogue One, which is kind of like a cluster of emotions.
Yeah, it's interesting because like I'm thinking of structures of the show. So like they've said that the show is going to be well, the first season is going to span a year, um,
Hmm.
4 years before Yavin, and then the no, that's not right. No, it is. It is. That's right. Yeah. And then but then the second season is going to be 4 like different story arcs, all 1 year closer. So the first one's going to be 3
Yeah.
years, 2 years, 1 year, and then finally just before Rogue One.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see what they do with that second season, especially because there's so much variety you can blend in there. There are so many, like, I think season 1 will be a separate entity, but I would not be surprised if we get quite a few cameos in season 2.
That's fair.
I would not be surprised, but I think I hope at least that season 1 will be a separate
entity. Stands on its own. Yeah.
Yeah. Other than Cassian and Mon and maybe Saw.
Yeah.
And maybe Bail. I hope they're new characters.
Yeah, I agree.
I definitely agree with that.
Really don't have a lot of predictions with this show just because it is such a wild card.
It is definitely a wild card. I'll put my two others out in there. My second one was the entire Imperial arsenal. I want to see the reign, because this army has conquered the entire galaxy, and I don't think we've seen the depth that there is. I want to see new kinds of stormtroopers, new kinds of weapons, new kinds of vehicles. I want to have it feel like the Empire is like, it is really an empire. It is really this empirical force, this huge force.
Yeah.
And like, I want to see what experiments they're doing, what new technologies they're funding. I think that'd be really interesting. And then the third one, and I think this is really key for Andor, hope. I want to see hope.
That's fair.
I think it's going to be gritty, but what I love about Star Wars is even the grittiest stuff has hope.
Yeah, I think it'll progress.
Yeah. I at least hope it will lean towards hope. That's my thing.
Yeah.
I hope it will lean towards hope. I hope that I don't think Rogue One, in my opinion at least, featured as much hope as I wanted it to. I won't deny that it's in there. What did you say?
I said I don't think it could.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah.
But like I hope that there's like still like, even though they're doing terrible things, even though like I hope it's not just them doing terrible things and messing up over and over again. I hope it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's that sort of storytelling where they do some things right and then they mess up in a serious way and they have to learn from that.
I think it's gonna have very like original trilogy meets like Mando energy with that. Like there are dark things happening and like sad things happening, but like there's still a glimpse of hope. You know what I mean? That kind of like feeling.
I definitely can see that. I think that, again, and we've said this so many times, Andor is really a wild card. It is a wild card of what we're going into because we just don't know that much. I mean, there was that cool, like, I gotta say, as much as I was skeptical about Andor, when I saw that in the trailer of the banging those drums, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be different.
Yeah.
This is going to be off the beaten path of what we've seen. It's still going to be very much Star Wars, but it's going to be different.
Yeah, I agree.
Which I think is going to be really interesting. You want to move on to let's see. You want to move on to Bad Batch 2?
Yeah.
Okay, what's your first prediction for Bad Batch 2?
I think we're going to see more Fennec for sure. And probably Cad.
You think we're going to see more? I wasn't thinking about the bounty hunters as much, but I would get that. Yeah, I would.
Especially with like, you know, Mando and Boba and everything. Like, I definitely see that happening. Like that, it kind of feels like it's gonna start kind of melding in a way.
Yeah, that does seem likely. I was actually, so full disclosure, one of mine was the second one of mine was talking about amplified Imperial forces, like. Because the Bad Batch did pretty well for themselves in season 1. So season 2 obviously has to get new threats in there.
Yeah.
And I was thinking mainly on the Imperial side, but I wasn't thinking on the bounty hunter side. And I think you're right. I don't think Cad and Fennec will stop. I don't think they'll be replaced with Imperials. I think Imperial stuff will just be added on.
Yeah, I agree.
Speaking of Imperial stuff, I was thinking like I think like Royal Guards, Death Troopers, or if we want to go
Ooh,
really
Death
insane,
Troopers.
Inquisitors,
Okay, I see that.
or this is my complete like just fan like this is not going to happen, but it would be so cool if it did. If the emperor, if the emperor or imperial forces send Ochi of Bestoon after the Bad Batch, I will scream. It'll be great. It's not going to happen, but it would
Yeah,
fit nicely if it did. It would fit
that's
nicely if it did.
that's fair.
No, but I think the more likely thing will be bounty hunters, maybe inquisitors.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think another prediction I have is I think we'll learn more about Omega. I feel like there's more like cryptic. I don't know. I got that vibe, you know, more
Yeah,
secrets.
there's a lot of theories about Omega that remind me of a lot of theories about Rey and a lot of theories about Grogu, respectively.
Fair.
And I don't think they're done with her. I don't think they're
No,
done with
I
her.
don't either.
I'm wondering because I've been seeing a lot of this like if she's force sensitive, which gotta be honest, wouldn't love. But the other one I've seen, which is a little weird, a little goofy, but I've kind of been warming up to in the past few years,
Yeah.
is if she has all the other Bad Batch's skill sets combined.
Oh,
So if
that
she
would
has
be
Wrecker's
cool.
strengths and Crosshair's accuracy and Hunter's like senses and all that kind of stuff, all of that combined,
That'd be cool.
which yeah, I'm warming up to. But I definitely think we're gonna see more about Omega in the Bad Batch.
Yeah.
I'll throw my second one down. We've obviously seen Gunji in the trailers. I don't want him to be the only youngling to have survived. I want
I don't either. Yeah.
my main girl Katuni to have survived. She's my
Aw.
favorite of all of them, and I want her to have survived, and I want her to I want to see that she's okay, and I
Yeah.
want to just like if she doesn't do anything, that's fine. I just want to get confirmation that she survived Order 66.
That's fair. My yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say like if she's with Hondo, that would be even better. But yeah, let's go ahead to your final one.
My final one would be okay. So we're all wondering what's gonna happen with Crosshair, right?
Yeah,
Um, death. That's
you
my
want death
theory.
for Crosshair.
I don't want it. I'm just saying I have a feeling it's gonna happen.
You think Crosshair's gonna you think Crosshair's gonna bite it?
Um, okay. I don't see trust happening. I feel like it's gonna be like a martyr situation. You know, like I
So
feel like
like
it's gonna be like a
Crosshair dies for the batch.
yeah. Like that's like the way that they like that's the redemption arc kind of thing. I see a martyr. I see them making him a martyr. You know.
Interesting. Who do you think kills Crosshair?
I don't know.
Like there is definitely like a situation where like a random stormtrooper could kill him. Like where they're all
Yeah,
pinned down
or
and
like a
like
death trooper.
or like a death trooper or some unnamed character.
Yeah,
But like if it
yeah.
would be a main character, I'm trying to think of who it could be.
Cad. No,
Like
I'm kidding.
I'm thinking like maybe if we take my crackpot idea about having an Inquisitor in there, maybe an Inquisitor
Yeah,
kills Crosshair.
yeah.
But like
No, I see that.
I'm now it just feels like again Bad Batch season 2. All these projects are really shrouded in mystery a lot.
Yeah,
But Bad Batch, I feel like we have the most to go on just because the trailer has revealed more to us about the second season than either of the other two things.
yeah.
We did your three, so I guess I just have my final one, which is to nail down a greater purpose for the Bad Batch.
That's fair.
What is their like we already saw who they're not going to be after Order 66. Now I want to find out who they're going to be. Because
Yeah,
they were created again, a lot of this is explored in season 1, but not answered.
yeah.
And I don't think it needed to be, but but there is very much they were created for one thing, and now they don't need to do that thing anymore. And
Yeah.
who are they going to become in this new era, and what is their role going to be?
I don't know.
I mean, my hope is, and where I would personally take the story is that I would I'd probably make them a part of the early rebellion,
Yeah.
but that's just my instinct, and I could totally see that going in a completely other direction. There's been some suggestions of them all dying. I've seen some suggestions of they're all gonna die.
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't like it, but I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm not convinced right now. Right now I'm saying it's not the direction I would go in, and
I have trust issues.
Yeah, no, I get that. Star Wars loves killing off characters, but the only thing Star Wars loves doing more than killing off characters is bringing them back, apparently.
Yeah, except the one we all want. What? Sorry? Did I say that out loud?
Oh yeah, right, that one. Okay. Anyway, so, but yeah, I'm interested to see if like, because if they all end out dead, that'll be an interesting, because that's not a very, like, we haven't seen a lot of that in Star Wars animation. We haven't seen that bleak nature in Star Wars animation.
That is how the Clone Wars felt for me. I mean, it wasn't everyone, but it was almost everyone.
Yeah, it was a lot of people, actually. Yeah, you're right. It was.
That's why I think we all feel that way about Bad Batch, because it's like.
Yeah.
And even Rebels, a lot of people died.
A lot of people die in Rebels. Though, actually, not many main. I remember, like, when season 4 was coming out, I thought a lot more main characters were gonna die than actually did.
Yeah, but
it was Kaden and Gregor. That was it.
They killed so many characters in all of the animated shows. I would not be surprised if they killed everyone in this one too.
Yep, I can see that. Yeah. Should we go on to Tales of the Jedi?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. What's your first prediction?
My first prediction. Okay, I don't really have any predictions per se. Okay, I should say, okay, my first prediction, and then I'll do wants, because my first prediction is that none of this is going to really matter. And what I mean by this is it seems like it reminds me of Marvel's What If, in the sense of, like, it seems like one of those shows that's going to be fun, but not, like, necessary. If that makes any sense? I think it's like filler episode. Like, it feels like it's going to be for entertainment value and not actually for anything that, like, we need to know.
I wouldn't call it exactly filler, but I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I don't think they will tell. I don't think they will tell a pivotal part of the story. I don't think
that's what I mean. Like, I don't think it's going to be anything that, like, you need to know if you missed it, like, yikes kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't think this will be foundational. I think this is just, like, I remember hearing about it at the panel from the people's recounts of the panel at Celebration. People were saying that Dave was writing these ideas on planes to and from the Mandalorian shoots, and it all felt like it felt like a very just because we could series, and I don't think that means that these aren't going to be good. I expect them to be very good,
I don't either. I just don't think they're going to be, like, quintessential. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think they're going to be the most. Yeah.
I think they're going to be, and it is interesting because, like, the animated shorts idea, I think there could be some interesting parallels to Visions.
Sure. Yeah. No, I see that.
Because Visions is, like, I loved Visions, and I loved all 9 shorts, some more than others, of course, but I think that these will be, like, moments in time. I think that's
like, you can watch all of Star Wars and miss this and not miss much, but it's still an enjoyable thing.
Yeah, and it will still, I'm sure it will still expand the universe in ways and talk and tell us about events that are exciting and that have substance to them. My first one, this is a complete shot in the dark. This one's, like, this one's probably not going to happen. But like, I'm just putting it out there because I feel like I can't not. I want to see animated Sifo Dyas. We know we're gonna get those 3 Dooku shorts. Full disclaimer: so so Tales of the Jedi is 3. For those of you who don't know, 3 Dooku shorts and 3 Ahsoka shorts. 2 of my wants are about the Dooku shorts. And one of them is I want to see a living Sifo Dyas, because we know him and Dooku were good friends, and I want to see more of that relationship, because clearly he was very important to the Sith's plot against the Republic and the Jedi after he died, and I want to see what he was more like when he was alive. I understand he's in Master and Apprentice a little bit, but yeah, I want to see more Sifo Dyas.
Mine is also shot in the dark. I don't think it's going to happen, but for those of you that don't know, there is an Ahsoka book, and in the Ahsoka book, it's after 66. She helps these girls on this planet and develops this friendship, and there's kind of like a romantic aura about it. I would love to see the 2 of them in a I think it's mostly going to be little Ahsoka. That's what it seemed to be, but I would love to see those girls animated and like those book characters brought to life. I don't think it's going to happen, but I would love to see it. I would lose my mind.
I think it might be more likely than you think, because one of the images I remember seeing at people post online was Ahsoka facing off against an Inquisitor,
which is what
which seems to be the 6th brother who she faced off against in that book.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's guaranteed to happen.
I just know that they asked E.K. Johnson some stuff, but they haven't she hasn't like, said anything like for sure, but I know that they asked her some stuff about him. So I'm
really, because here's the thing: I remember seeing on her Instagram that it was that the Tales of the Jedi stuff was the first she'd heard about this, like the celebrating stuff.
Well, I don't think they asked her some questions like, "Hey, for the Tales of the Jedi, we're thinking about doing this." I think they just hit her up one day and was like, "We have some questions about the Ahsoka book," and she answered them, having no idea what they were going to be used for.
Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, there were some tweets she made. I don't know if it was last year where she was like, "Oh, like I don't know." She like hinted at something. I could be wrong, but like it seemed like maybe they had bugged her with
completely
some
possible
questions about some stuff.
Yeah, that's completely possible. What's your second one for Tales of Jedi?
That's my second one. That I hope that we get to see that. We get to see like more characters from the books.
Okay. So I guess we're going to my second one. There we go. My second one is, we know Qui-Gon is going to be in the Dooku shorts, and I want to see more of the relationship between him and Dooku. I think we will see this, but there's that line that that Dooku says to Obi-Wan in Clones about how Qui-Gon would have joined him if he were still alive. He saw the corruption in the Senate, and I wonder exactly what the relationship was like between Dooku and Qui-Gon, because they're both incredibly stubborn, and I mean that in the best way for both of them.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see some of their conversations about the Force and the Jedi and their roles in the galaxy and where they differed and where they came together and all that kind of stuff.
I think you get that energy from Qui-Gon in Master and Apprentice. Like, I think you understand more of like his feelings towards the Senate, like just his feelings towards everyone, and like how like that's kind of true, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. No, I want to pick up Master and Apprentice at some point.
It's really good.
And I will
highly recommend.
Yeah. I loved Bloodline. I loved Claudia Gray's writing in Bloodline, so I have so much Star Wars reading to get to, because because I'm still trying to catch up on High Republic too.
Yeah, I haven't caught up on High Republic.
I'm halfway into Rising Storm. I still need to do Fallen Star after that.
I've read like 2 High Republic books, but there's so many. So
there are really. I'm just committing myself to the adult novels. That's what I'm doing. I read Light, loved it.
I would say that, but Star Wars still sends me the YA novels, and I gotta read them to review them. They send me the YA novels before they send me the adult novels, so I get them for free. Of course, I'm gonna read those first.
Yeah, what are those? Test of Courage and
Yeah.
Midnight
Um,
Horizon.
I did get the third Padme book. That was fantastic, by the way.
Queen's Hope. Yeah,
Yeah, it's behind me.
yeah. I want to again. It's one of those like so many on the to do list.
It's on the list.
Yeah. My thing was I was reading High Republic and then Shadow of the Sith came out, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be the greatest Star Wars book of all time. I need to read this, and then it indeed was the greatest Star Wars book of all time.
Fair.
And so and now I'm getting back into High Republic. But yeah, what's your third one for Tales of the Jedi?
My third one is just like a want. I really want to see like Happy Dooku.
That's an interesting point because we never really see him like.
I really want to see like what he was like before everything went down, you know? Like I want like
Yeah,
a good moment with him.
like Dooku as a hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely see that. It's something I hadn't like. It's something that seems so obvious to me now, but like I hadn't really thought about it as much.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
just
no,
want to see him
absolutely.
like a hero, you know? But just for a little
Yeah.
bit.
No, absolutely, because we get the sense even in Clones that he is a good guy who's just misguided.
Yeah.
And no, that's a really interesting point. I definitely agree with that. So my final one was indeed about Ahsoka, and specifically about the stuff post 66, because I want to see because we see Ahsoka face many trials and tribulations in the Clone Wars,
Yeah.
and she's very much an underdog character where she gets put in these horrible situations and she comes
Yeah.
out on top every single time. And then after Order 66, especially in the Rebels content, in the live action content, she takes on more of a mentor role.
Yeah.
Which is cool, and I like that a lot. But I want to see her having her own struggles. I want to see her. I want to see adult Ahsoka still getting in over her head with some situations, and still like. I want to see her because in Rebels she very much. It feels like very much most of the time she has everything. She has a lot of things together.
Yeah.
And
but that's not realistic.
Yeah, and like it's. I get it because she's not the main character of the story anymore.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see something where she is, and hopefully to have more of those struggles. Like she does in Ahsoka, like she does, in Siege of Mandalore, like she does all of those times. And I'm not saying she doesn't struggle at all, like that Twilight the Apprentice, like that is Ahsoka facing her worst fears. But that and Shroud of Darkness, for me, and Rebels are pretty much it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it would be interesting. She feels too put together in Mando. And both
yeah.
I'll
credit this one to really Kenobi, because I really do feel like because Obi-Wan is very, very put together in
for sure
Twin Suns and New Hope, but we all want to see Obi-Wan get to be that person post 66 to A New Hope, and that's what Kenobi did so well. And I guess I want to see that for Ahsoka as well.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Any other wants for this or any other content for the rest of the year? Because I know we have stuff we haven't talked about.
I feel like we're good for the rest of the year. For the foreseeable future, I really want to see more Star Wars content made outside of the Jedi. That's just I feel like we expected that with Mando, and we didn't get that. And I'm not complaining because I really like Mando and I really like where the story's taken us. But I would like more stories in which they kind of just stand their own. You know?
Yeah, I understand that. I think we're going to get that quite a bit. I think Andor and Bad Batch are going to give us a lot of that. I think especially Andor. I don't think this is interesting. Do you think we will see a lightsaber in Andor?
Yes. but I don't think it'll be a lot.
Yeah, I've like because that's my thing is like I don't think my I think we'll see my personal prediction, and this could be totally wrong. I think we will see one lightsaber. I think we will see a lightsaber ignited by Darth Vader.
I was just about to say I think it'll be red.
I think we might get a little Vader cameo. Like I don't think it'll be longer than 2 minutes.
I could see that.
I could definitely see them pulling out the like imagine if like the main Imperials at the end of season 1, they fail at their main mission and they have to report back to Vader. I could definitely see like a, hey Lord Vader, sorry we messed up on this one, and Vader's like and Vader and we just like see the lightsaber and then it just like cuts to black or something like that.
That's a very that's a very move.
Yeah. That is interesting. I'm like,
we're gonna quote this podcast when that exact scene happens.
Exactly, and I mean technically. So I've had a decent. I've had a decent track record. I've had one track record. I predicted the final scene of The Believer, where Mando does the "You have something I want" back to Gideon.
Yeah, so, I predict a lot of Mando stuff to my husband, and he's like, "I don't know, babe. Just I believe you. You."
Yeah, no, I remember. I believe it was friend of the show Devore who predicted the Bo-Katan thing in the Heiress. That's who it was. He was like, I think Bo-Katan's gonna take off her helmet, and then Mando's gonna be like, "What are you doing?" And then I saw that, I'm like, "Oh my god, Devore, you got it right." That's really fun, is looking back on these things.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we don't do this type of content a lot. Not saying this content's bad at all. I'm just saying like this is not the usual style of in a galaxy. But looking back at this stuff and saying, "Oh, we were totally wrong about this one. Oh, we totally got that one."
I was wrong about Boba. I was so right about the sequels, though. I wish that I had Star Wars Twitter and that I could like screenshot, but I remember like after certain movies, like literally looking at like my mom or my friends or my family, whoever I went with, and being like, "This is what's gonna happen," and I was right. Like, like 60% of the time, 70% of the time. Like I guess the whole like like Reylo kiss. I actually suggested as a joke. It was like a half guess, like half joke, that Rey was gonna be a Palpatine. I was like, wouldn't it be so crazy?
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. The one I remember doing, and this was my half jokingly one. Actually, this one was really half jokingly. This is my wouldn't it be crazy if. I remember on the way to Solo, I was talking to some of my friends, and saying, wouldn't it be crazy if Enfys Nest removed their helmet and it was a woman beneath the helmet? And then it happened. I'm like, okay.
We love her.
She's awesome. I love her so much.
She's so pretty. She's so cool. Yeah.
She's awesome. We need to see her in Andor.
Oh, I want to so bad. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we need to see Enfys Nest in Mando. Like the Cloud Riders, yeah, give me give me all the Cloud Riders.
The only problem is how old would she be? That would be a little hard with the actress because she's young, so she would be like.
Let's see.
CGI.
I don't think it'd actually be because I wouldn't think it because I wouldn't think it'd be that hard because Solo is 10 years and Andor 1 is 4 years. And it's been 4 years since Solo.
Yeah.
And it was 6 years in universe, so that's not terrible.
It's just because the age the actress was, she's like my age. I think she was younger when they filmed it. Just the way your face and body changes like in your teens and early 20s and stuff. That's my only thing. Is like if it was like a 30-year-old actor or actress versus like a 36-year-old, it really wouldn't look different. But when it comes to like a 16-year-old versus a 24-year-old, like she might look a lot different.
I was just looking up just to see, and I just looked it up. She's 23, so yeah, that would be.
So she probably looks a lot different now, a little bit.
Yeah, that would be concerning.
Makeup.
Yeah,
We can make her look a little
yeah,
young. We can get that little highlight on, just a little.
yes. I'm sure if they're doing it, they thought about it.
Yeah.
But yeah. Before
But I would want it to be the same actress for sure. She did great.
oh,
She's
absolutely,
awesome.
Erin Kellerman is great. Before we wrap up this episode, we like to do some interview questions we ask to all of our guests, just about your Star Wars tastes and stuff.
Sure.
So, who is your favorite Star Wars character?
Leia.
I mean,
Shocker.
yes. I mean, just yes. Like she's awesome. I love Leia. What is your Star Wars movie ranking? If you don't have a ranking, you can just do like a top 5 or a favorite.
Okay, number 1, Empire, obviously. Uh, number 2 is Rogue One. Shocker. Number 3, Revenge of the Sith. Number 4, I'm gonna say Return of the Jedi. 5, I'm gonna say The Last Jedi. And I love Attack of the Clones. Yeah, I don't know. I would probably The Force Awakens is a good one. I would rank The Rise of Skywalker as like the bottom of my list, and I didn't dislike Solo, but it's not my favorite. Yep, that's my ranking.
I noticed one that wasn't on there. Where's Menace and all of that?
Okay, my bottom, it's like the lowest would be Rise of Skywalker, then The Phantom Menace. I love that movie for nostalgia reasons, but for like rewatch, it's not the highest on my rewatch list, and then probably Solo,
Okay.
and then like The Force Awakens and New Hope. Yeah, so I did top to middle and then bottom to middle.
That's good. That's good. What is your favorite non-movie Star Wars media that people are missing out on?
The books, all of the books, all of the books, all of the time. I think everyone should read all of the books forever, and all of you need to catch up because I have conversations to have with you people, and none of you have read them.
Specific favorites?
Okay, I really love the Padme trilogy. I know, like, I love Claudia Gray. Don't get me wrong. I think we're mutuals on Instagram. Like, I'm an author. She's an author. She's a much more talented author, but she's amazing. I love Claudia Gray, but the Padme trilogy is everything to me.
Yeah, you mentioned the Padme trilogy a few times, and we mentioned obviously Ahsoka, and I get that you're a big fan of E.K. Johnston.
I am.
And her work.
Yeah, I think Claudia Gray, of all like the authors, has like the most like lovely like writing style, but in terms of like content, I'm a really big fan of like EK's work and stuff. Like yeah. Just the stories that she gets to tell are my favorite. Like I just love all the handmaidens and Sabe, and I love actually getting to see the girls as girls and as badasses. It's a good balance.
Yeah. I've heard great things about all 3 books. Again, it's one of those things where I have so many on my list, but you've definitely convinced me a lot in the Padme books. Specifically. Who is your favorite Star Wars background character?
Background character. The first one that comes to mind is K2 right now. I feel like it's just because we've had this conversation. Honestly, Sabe, like if I really want to, like, my deep answer, but my, like, shallow answer is K2.
No, Sabe is great, and Sabe's gotten a great expanded role in the canon. Like, I don't know if you've been keeping up. I have
the Vader comics, is that what you're about to say?
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. I subscribe to the Vader comics specifically because of the Ochi content, and I also just get, and then I get the great storytelling around the Ochi content. I'm like, okay, double win.
I
and
specifically started reading them because I heard my girls were in it. So
yeah, no, Sabe rocks in it, and she has a great has a great story in these most recent issues with and we see Kitster again, which
yeah.
is wild. I did not expect to see a grown up Kitster. Wow. What, in your opinion, what's the coolest Star Wars species?
That's so hard. The coolest Star Wars species. Mm, now my brain is like, okay, here's my question. I'm going to sound dumb. This is one of the few things I don't know. What species is our lovely frog lady, lizard lady?
Does she have species? I don't know this one.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I don't know either.
So she. I just looked it up. She does not have a species name right now.
Okay, it's either okay. If I'm giving like my like full answer, it's either Togruta or like Twi'lek. But I
Yeah.
really like her little species, and just like I don't know, I just thought it was really cute, and I found that
We're gonna
character
pull a
to be
Yoda
very
with this and
likable.
just call it Frog Lady species.
Frog lady species, yeah. She's my new fave, but like my deep fave is probably Togruta or like Twi'lek or something. You know, I
Yeah.
like all my girls with funky heads. You know.
Yeah. No. I was. You actually like got me there. I was like, wait, what is Frog Lady
That's
species?
what I was thinking.
Do we know?
I was like, fake fan. I can't think of it.
You would have thought they would have clarified it by now. But what is your favorite Star Wars planet?
Naboo. Yeah. Listen,
Classic choice.
it's so pretty.
It really is. It's great.
um, is it actually just Italy? Yeah, but
Yes, it is Star Wars Italy, and who hates that?
yeah, exactly.
If you were in the Star Wars universe, what do you think your job would be?
You know, I've thought about this a lot. And like I want to say something cool. Like I want to say that I'd like be a bounty hunter, or I'd be a rebel, or I'd be some I mean I have rebel tattooed on my back, but in reality I'd be like the servant to one of the royals on Alderaan that dies or something. like or I'd be like one of the queens that came after Padme's handmaiden or something. Like that's reality, but like in my head I want to say that I would be like a rebel. I know, no. I know exactly what I'd do. I would be one of the people that sings or like plays an instrument in like one of the more risque cantina bands. Like think of like Rogue One. Like that's what I'd be. Yeah, realistically.
Yeah, I could. Absolutely. It's so interesting to think of all like the different careers and occupations in the
You
Star
could just
Wars
be like a
galaxy.
junk collector. Like you could just be
Yeah.
a you could have a thrift store, a Star Wars like consignment shop where you just sell like scraps of trash.
Yep. There's that famous George Lucas behind the scenes quote. It's like poetry. They rhyme. Every stanza sort of
Yeah.
rhymes with the last. What's your favorite? It's like poetry. It rhymes moment in Star Wars. It doesn't have to be from movies.
Um the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that like Ben and Rey feel like a reverse Padme and Anakin. Like it feels like that's romantic arc and like story arc in reverse. Similar endings, but yeah, it feels like that kind of dynamic in reverse. That's the first thing that comes to mind. I'm trying to think of another one. There was a moment in Kenobi with Leia and something she says like I'm just Leia or something to Kenobi, and I'm pretty sure that's a line in Bloodline. I'm pretty sure like that's a line in either Princess of Alderaan or Bloodline or like really similar, and that gave me one of those kinds of like feelings.
Interesting. That's a really good catch. Um, If you could take one item or force power from Star Wars into the real world, what would it be?
One item or force power? I would love to be able to manipulate people. That sounds so bad, but like, can you imagine? Like, you just like walk up to your professor and you're like, "You are giving me an A."
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I'd become a villain. I'd become a villain.
This is your villain origin story.
Yeah, if that was possible, I'd be a villain. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I understand the temptation. I really do. And finally, we have an ongoing debate at In a Galaxy with our friend, the aforementioned Devore from Largely the Force, over the pronunciation of a certain character's name. I'm going to show you this character. All you need to do is just tell me how you pronounce her name. I'll just say this. She hit the ship. It wasn't her fault that they used a decoy. So whatever you hear it's her fault, it isn't. It's not her fault that they used a decoy. What's this character's name?
I don't actually know how I'd pronounce it. I would say Zom.
That wasn't actually the part I was talking about, but but interesting. Okay, cool, great.
Are people saying like Weasel?
So people are saying. So here's what the debate has been. So in the game Star Wars Bounty Hunter, she introduces herself. Hi, I'm Zam Wizell. And apparently, fellow podcaster Devore was like, I never thought of Wessel as a name. And I'm like, I'd always pronounced it. Jacob and I were both like, we'd always pronounced it Wessel. We had no idea that anybody would pronounce it different than Wessel. And so we keep asking people Wessel or Wizell. And one person has said Wizell. And everybody else said Wessel.
Okay, so like a lot of my family comes from Kuwait, which is in the Middle East, and so it makes sense for Star Wars that her first name would be pronounced Zam, because like that's a very Star Wars way of pronouncing things, but like in terms of the Middle East, it would have been Zam, if that makes any sense. Like if you were to pronounce a name, like that's how I would think to pronounce it. But Wissel is made up. That's fake. Sorry. No. Wissel? What is this? Like, no.
It's a funny thing. I've been using this clip to define. I think I posted this once on Twitter, and I should
like a
repost
Glazelle?
this.
Yeah.
I should repost this again. But my guide to pronouncing her last name is I'm sure you've seen Frozen. When the Duke of when the Duke character is asked how to pronounce his name, when they constantly call him the Duke of Weaseltown or something like that.
That's why I thought of Weasel. Yeah, that's why I thought of Weasel, because I'm like, do people pronounce it Weasel? Is that what's happening? But no, that's funnier.
No, I was thinking like every time I think the Duke of Weselton, and so you just do that. That's how you pronounce it.
I thought you were gonna ask me? I thought you were gonna ask me if I say at or at, honestly, because that's quite a debate.
Yeah, I've been seeing that debate go off on Twitter over the last few days again. Has it
resurfaced?
It's resurfaced again in the last few days.
I say at, but I'm aware that it's technically at.
I think I say at as well. The one I've also seen coming up on Twitter a lot is the main villain of the High Republic is getting a lot of that. Is it Marchion Ro or is it Marchion Ro? And I'm aware I'm aware that Charles Soule has pronounced it Marchion. I've said Marchion.
I don't like that. I don't like Marchion. Marchion.
I've said Marchion Ro, and I'm gonna keep saying it.
Me too.
And mostly I'm gonna say it because that is Marchion Ro. Wow, I just did it. Marchion Ro is the best character in the High Republic. Like, that guy is incredible. Love that guy. Goes crazy. But I think that's about it. This is the time where we where can you be found? Where can people find you?
Hi. I can be found all over the internet. My Twitter is at author Pris. That's probably where I talk the most about Star Wars stuff, but also like books and geeky stuff in general, a little bit of anime here and there. You can find me pretty much everywhere else: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook at priscillaroseauthor. I write books, and I also talk about other people's books and movies and TV shows and all kinds of fun stuff. And you can find my shenanigans pretty much anywhere.
That's great. I will put all of those down into the description. Thank you for listening to this episode of Star Wars in a Galaxy. Next week, Jacob and I will be starting season 10 and a half, we're unofficially calling it, of Star Wars in a Galaxy. We are going to be talking about Star Wars Visions. We started this show before Visions came out, and it just so happens that out of the 9 Visions sorts, 6 of them take place during or before the Empire era. So we figured we need to stall a bit of time because we don't want to cover Bad Batch 2 as it's coming out. So we decided we're going to stick Visions in there.
Cool.
And so next week we are going to be talking about The Village Bride and The Elder, the two Clone Wars. No, wait, the two pre-Empire Vision shorts, which I'm very excited to talk about. In the meantime, follow us on Twitter at InAGalaxyPod, Instagram at Star Wars in a Galaxy. You can listen to us, Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, anywhere you listen to your podcast, we will be there. If we're not, email us, slbinagalaxy@gmail.com. And leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify if you can. Really does help our visibility. And until next time, may the Force be with you always.